of industry's role in the CNA process, including how to use the ODAA Business Management System, or OBMS, to submit the System Security Plan, or SSP. This particular topic is relevant to all contractors under the NISP who are required to submit their SSPs through OBMS. First, we'll briefly cover the CNA process, and then we'll discuss each of the steps in more detail and look at the role of OBMS. Different resource links will be presented throughout the presentation, so please check them out if you feel they'll help you. The CNA process is an important part of an ISSM's job. It's a continuous process that validates the system's processing classified information to meet the requirements for operation. It's also a sort of touch point to ensure the systems maintain their accredited security posture throughout their life cycle from cradle to grave. Or, to put it in the context of the CNA process, from inception to termination. The certification and accreditation components are distinct from one another, but they're both a part of the same goal, which is to obtain an authority to operate, or an ATO. Certification is when the ISSM confirms the protection measures described in the SSP have been properly implemented. This is a step that DSS reviewers validate on site, while accreditation is the formal authorization by DSS for the contractor's information system to process classified data. Now, if you've been doing this for a while, you might remember a time when the ISSM either physically provided the SSP or emailed it, and if it was rejected, the SSP had to be returned and resubmitted in the same way. That added a little bit of a bottleneck to the process. Now, OBMS is used to transmit the SSP between the ISSM and the Office of the Designated Accrediting Authority, or the ODAA. Now, we could spend all day talking about threat types and examples. It happens all the time. In fact, just a few weeks ago, a UK man was arrested for hacking into the Department of Defense computers. Last year, the Senate Armed Services Committee announced that it had identified at least 20 successful intrusions in the federal contractor system originating from China alone. And a few years ago, one of the largest federal military contractors in the country was breached by the group AntiSec. And that's just a very narrow tip of a very large iceberg. Every day, there are countless attempts to break into DoD and contractor networks. Maybe they want to steal proprietary information or government secrets, or maybe they want to bring down the network or a website for political reasons. We can't always know their motivation, but we do know there's an active and persistent threat. And sometimes that threat is already inside your organization, and that could be the most damaging of all. That's why the CNA process is so important. It ensures that the systems have at least a basic security profile in place, and it helps to mitigate unauthorized activity and vulnerability. So let's play a little game before we move on. It's like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire if you don't actually win anything. Does anyone know how many steps there are in the NISP CNA process? The answers are coming in. Looks like the general consensus is 6, and that's correct. There are 6 steps in the NISP CNA process, and they include initiation and planning, system development, review and certification, accreditation decision, continuous review, and disestablishment. I'm going to briefly display a few helpful links related to the CNA process. Of course, feel free to look at them at your leisure. But you can find everything you need to maintain your accreditation in the ISSM Toolkit located on the CDSC website. It's a great resource, so check it out if you haven't already. The second link is to the NISPOM itself, which we'll look at a little more closely in the next slide. Chapter 8 is the one that's relevant to this topic, but it's important to have at least an understanding of the remaining topics in the NISPOM. The ODA process manual outlines the entire process, and finally, the CDSC training covers the key points that you need to know to be successful in your field. Chapter 8 of the NISPOM is where you'll find guidance on information system security. Specifically, it outlines the responsibilities and the duties of all the players. It discusses the CNA process and requirements, protection measures, and more. This is definitely something we should all be familiar with to proceed on. The ODA Process Manual is another great tool to better understand the CNA process. It gives a lot of resources to ISSM. It explains standards. It even provides templates to help you put a package together. It isn't directive in nature, but adhering to it will give you the best chance of success. The Process Manual gives specific, tactical guidance on the entire process and discusses the roles and responsibilities of all players in all phases. Now that we're all familiar with the source material, let's briefly go over each of the steps in the NIST CNA process. Or specifically, we'll be looking at the first two steps, which initiate the process. In step one, you're going to categorize the system. You'll need to determine the security requirements for that system. You'll need an ATO before you develop the SSP. If you don't already have your own template, you can use the one provided by DSS through OBMS. In step two, the focus is on understanding the contractual requirements for the system and then configuring using the baseline standards provided by the ODAA. It's like a test where you're given all the answers ahead of time. You know exactly what the expectation is going to be. You'll build profiles for each of the information systems using the templates in OBMS. Once the package is completed and accepted, then the DSS reviewers begin step three. Although each case is unique, it's not unusual for an ATO to be approved within a couple of weeks, assuming that everything was done correctly during submission. So let's take a look at step two in greater detail in the context of OBMS. OBMS simplifies the submission process, and it automatically generates a UID when it submits the package directly into the ODAA Business Management System. Not only does it streamline the entire submission process, but it also lets you track the progress of the package and maintain clear records. Here we can see the OBMS Contractor Submitter page. For this webinar, we're focusing on the certification and accreditation module as shown. To start the process, click the Certification and Accreditation Module drop-down menu, and then click through to the Initial Accreditation option seen here. This will take you to the Summary Data Profile tab of the Initial Accreditation screen. Next, you'll fill out the general plan information, which describes the environment and the system characteristics. Be sure to provide summary profile information. You can use the Validate button at any time to identify any fields that contain invalid or missing data. Click Save before proceeding to the next step. You cannot access any other tabs or proceed until you click Save. So since everyone's been paying attention, I'm sure everybody knows the answer to this. Which button must you press after entering all system information before you can access other tabs or proceed to the next step? Go ahead and make your selection on the screen. That's correct. Save is the correct answer. You can't proceed or click on any other tabs until you click the Save button. That will allow you to proceed within the system. After we click the Save button, we go to the Assets tab. From here, you can add a system, or if you're doing a network security plan or an NSP, you can add a node. The ODAA Process Manual and the OBMS training on the CDAC website go into greater depth on adding systems or nodes. For the sake of this webinar, let's assume that we need an SSP or an MSSP. In that case, we'll use the Add System button. You'll click it to get to the next step. On this screen, you'll put in the number of machines that have the operating system installed. Just use the drop-down menu to select the OS, and then click Save before continuing. Once the asset selection is done, you'll need to provide the required documentation for the initial accreditation package. And you'll do that through the Supporting Documents tab on this screen. From there, you can open up a template to work online or download one to use offline. An auto-generate feature is scheduled for a later release, which will save you a little bit of time by filling in some of the information for you automatically. To choose a template, select the box next to the one you want and click the Open New Template button. It will always open as a PDF document. You'll note that the first page of the template has a Save Form button. Make sure you use that button and not the Save command through the software itself. Next, scroll through the screen filling in all of the required fields. In this example, you can see a part of the Information System Profile screen. If you mark anything as NA, you need to explain in the document why it doesn't apply to your organization. And then, finally, you can either sign the document or save it and return to it later to finish another time. This is an important one, so let's make sure we all remember. What's the right way to save a template when working online in OBMS? Go ahead and make your selection on the screen. Okay, that's great. Looks like everybody remembers that one. Yes, you always use the Save Form button inside the template itself. You cannot use the Adobe or whatever program you have save command. And we can see that on this screen. When you sign a document or you're saving it to finish later, you scroll down on the first page inside the document itself, and there you'll see the Save Form Document button. Remember that you always use this and not the Adobe Save command when working online in OBMS. After saving, you can use the Close Form button to advance the Review Submission tab. Again, here you can download templates to work on offline. Just select the box next to the template type you want and click the Download Template button. Save it to your computer and work on it as needed. When you're done working on the document, sign it, and then it's ready to be uploaded. To upload a document, click the Upload Document button as shown here. After all of the supporting documents have been uploaded, go to the Review Submission screen by clicking the Next Step / Review Submission button. Finally, once you've made it through the previous steps, you'll find yourself at the Review Submission screen. This gives you a chance to verify that all of the required fields have been completed before you actually submit your package. You can use the Validate button to automate that check or go through it manually. Once you're done, click Submit for Review, and the package will be automatically routed to the ODAA's office for review. If there are any problems with your package, you'll be notified and you can make the changes directly in OBMS. Once your submission is accepted and approved, you'll be issued an IATT or an ATO. Once you've submitted an MSSP and it's approved, you'll be able to self-certify additional systems yourself. We're about ready to wrap this up. Let's share a little bit about what we've touched on today. What's something you didn't know about OBMS that you now feel you understand a little bit better? Or what's something that wasn't covered today that you think people should know, something you've experienced you want to share? Use the text box on your screen to share your thoughts with the other participants. Okay, so I see Deborah Thompson come up with forms are helpful. Yes, they really are. The forms within OBMS really help to automate the process and really give you some already approved and already successful templates to work with. Karen Brown says the process is much easier than I had anticipated. That's a really good point. The CNA process as a whole can be fairly intimidating, especially if you're starting for your first package. Using OBMS helps you to automate much of that process, and it gives you a direct line into the ODAA submission process, particularly with the templates and particularly with the resources that are available. It definitely removes some of the bottlenecks, makes the process a little bit easier. Thomas Burns says how the electronic process works. That's a really good point. Some of us that have been doing it for a while may have dealt with physical packages and a lot of paper and a lot of staples. And using an electronic system like this definitely makes the process a lot faster, a lot better. And Bill Renner, you're absolutely correct, quick and good. It definitely is an improved system over what some of us may have dealt with in the past. Dolores Green, I completely agree. The system is user-friendly. Definitely makes things a lot easier. And some of the updates, which we'll be talking about a little bit later, are going to make it even easier. Barbara Burton, the tool of documents available, even if they aren't going through the CDSC approval process, is the tool of documents available, excuse me. Yes, as long as you have a system that is registered in OBMS, you have access to it at all times. It is a great way to get some resources, great way to get some templates, regardless of the process that you're going through or where you are in the process. David Costales, existence and using CDSC website over current process. Yes, there's a lot of great tools on the CDSC website. There's the ISSM toolkit. a lot of training that really helps to orient you to the process, really sets you up for success. And that's the idea, is to make it easier on everybody. I appreciate all the contributions that you're all making to this conversation. Why do we have to keep signing in every 30 days when plans are mostly every 3 years? That is on the back end. That's to maintain the account. I don't know the reason for that, but something they'll definitely bring up as they evaluate the system, as they work at some improvements, as far as if that's something that they require to maintain an account. Chris Kevin Flatterly, hello, Kevin. Kevin Lane, apologize. Not a problem. You can find this. It will be recorded and saved on the website. There's also another session later today if you wanted to get to it from the start. What DSS's vision is in regards to implementing the risk-managed framework, authorizations, and approval process, and moving away from the current ODA manual, Chapter 8. Kevin, that is a really good question. I'd really like to get into that. Unfortunately, we don't have time to fully address that at this point. But do feel free to send me an email. We can discuss that, and we can see what we can do to answer that on the website as well as some other ways. Lee Kiefer says, all of my systems are migrated from the old process. I changed my profile but cannot see the document. Lee, I understand the frustration in dealing with that. In a few slides, we're going to be giving the help desk information, or at least the email address to reach the ODAA for trouble tickets related to this. Go ahead and email them once we get to that point with your questions, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you out and get you squared away. Michael Taylor says, will our ISSP be able to view our CNA process or package in OBMS? I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. I'm not sure if they're within the routing chain. We're going to go ahead and get that answer, and we'll add that to the website when this gets posted. Thank you for that question. Sign in every 30 days is a government requirement. Thank you for clarifying that. So that's kind of a built into the system in that case. What about disestablishing an old system? Is it in the OBMS system? That's a great question. I'm glad you brought that up. I addressed that a little bit later. That is a current limitation of OBMS. However, there's some updates coming, 2 of them in May and August, that are going to be addressing that. So we'll get to that in a couple slides and some of the bug fixes. And can we look forward to see some CCRI webinars in the near future? After this presentation, I invite each of you to stay for the questionnaire, where that's a great point to talk about upcoming webinars that you want to see, and also to give a high review for this particular webinar. All right, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to continue on. If you do have any more questions, feel free to email me. My contact information will be at the end. Or feel free to type it in, and we'll address it if there's time at the end of this presentation. Thank you very much for such a great question. Okay, so here, once you have a system certified, and if you have an MSSP, you can see the option to self-certify, which is used for adding systems within the 3-year window after an MSSP has been approved. Regardless of whether you have an SSP or an MSSP, sometime before your 3-year accreditation is up, or when security-relevant changes occur, even before that date, you'll need to go through the process of reevaluation and reaccreditation, which is the option just above self-certification. The process will be similar to the initial accreditation process, but you'll be adding to and modifying existing documents instead of starting from scratch. A quick note on security-relevant changes. Of course, those are any changes that might change the security posture of the system. If you have any questions on whether a change is security-relevant, do feel free to reach out to your ISSP or to DSS and discuss that, and they'll be able to give you some guidance. Also, be sure to work closely with your ISSP in all matters regarding to the package as you go through the continuous process. So to sum it all up, industry's role in the CNA process is critical to defending against cyber attacks and other incidents. To accomplish this while maintaining their ATO, all contractors under the NIST are required to configure their system in accordance with the baseline technical security configuration and the ODAA process manual. The submission and approval process that goes along with this now includes using OBMS. All right, now I'm going to address any questions that may have come up during the process. There is one that's come through. If I submit an SSP, but then I need an MSSP, what do I do? That's a great question. If you submit an SSP and you have that package in place, you do need to resubmit as an MSSP. Use the same information as it's relevant, but it needs to be submitted as a different package. Okay, so I'm also going to touch on a few questions that have come up before, a few recurring questions that some of you may have as well. First, and this is one that came up recently, is there a way to use OBMS in a sandbox type of environment? In other words, is there a way to practice on OBMS without working on an active entry? And currently the answer is at this time, no, there's no way to do that. OBMS is live, and all entries have to be associated with an active system. There is OBMS training available through STEP for both contractor submitters and government submitters, which can help orient you to the process. Next, what can you do about inaccuracies in the facility data sheet? This is one aspect that you can't directly change within OBMS at this time. If you find any errors in your facility data sheet, you can email a request for updates directly to the ODAA at odaa@dss.mil. Again, that's odaa@dss.mil. That's also the address that you can use for any help requests or any feature requests. Anything you have a little bit of trouble with, you can reach out to them. They'll be able to help you out. Finally, OBMS is constantly being updated and improved, and a new release is scheduled for May of 2015. This is going to fix a few bugs, like we talked about before, such as the inability to disestablish expired plans, unreliability in notification, and bugs preventing the submittal of administrative updates. With that update, you'll also be able to update the facility data. And the upcoming update in August will also let you create your own UIDs and recertify self-certified systems. Currently, those features are not implemented, but with the update coming in May, the one coming in August, those will be fixed. I want to thank everybody for joining us today. All previous webinars have been archived and are available on our website. Please be sure to visit the CDSE Cybersecurity webpage and check out some of our offerings, including e-learning, instructor-led courses, and short. More information about OBMS and the submission process can be found in the ODAA Business Management System, or OBMS, for external contractors course numbered CS120.16, which you can get to using the link shown on the screen. Before we conclude today's presentation, we hope you'll take a moment to participate in our survey. Your feedback is very helpful to us and greatly appreciated. If you have ideas for future webinar topics, please share those in the survey, and it'll be routed to where it needs to go. When the webinar is closed, the survey link should appear on your screen to give you an opportunity to comment. On behalf of all of CDSE, this is Chris saying thanks for spending your lunch with us. Have a good